let's go ahead and move on to our best and worst as we keep recapping week 7. Chase, so go ahead and give me your best.
My best is the rookie wide receivers. We have had a phenomenal rookie wide receiver year, right? Into a draft class that even you and me were saying these wide receivers aren't built like they have been, right? This wasn't the best class for wide receivers. They were going to be taken, lower in the draft, right? There's not a premium guy like we've seen, last year and the year before that. But then this year, let me read off just a quick list. You got Puka Nacua, Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, Jordan Addison, Michael Wilson, Tank Dell, Rashid Rice, Marvin Mims Jr. Then you have Jordan Reed, Demario Douglas, Jalen Hyatt are all in the top 90 in receiving yards right now. Some of those guys haven't even been featured like they should be yet on their teams. Then you have JSN sitting at 105, who finally had his breakout game this week, right? He had, I think, 90 some yards and a touchdown. Congrats to these rookie wide receivers, putting on a show. Puka's third in the league in receiving yards. Even with Cooper Kupp, he was the only highlight to that Rams team this week. So this rookie wide receiver class, which I personally thought was a little bit lower than they past has been, they've been showing out and showing up. So congrats to them. I love to see these young receivers, make plays.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like we said before, the Viking, Jordan Addison, right? Second in the league in touchdown catches, like as a rookie, only behind Tyreek Hill. Like that's impressive. Rashid Rice for the Chiefs, he's picking up, right? He scored a touchdown in the past like 3 games. I think he's got a touchdown in 3 consecutive games. Like he's showing up. So yeah, these Zay Flowers had a great game last week. He got his first touchdown a week ago. Like the rookie receivers there are really starting to pick up. I know there's a lot of talk kind of regarding some of them via or during the off season. Just kind of got to give them time to develop and get in there and then and show up. So really the only receiver we haven't really seen anything from at all is Quentin Johnson. I think he's only had like 5 or 7 catches so far in the entire year. So he's very, I don't want to say it's him. There's a lot of things going on with the Chargers that we'll get into here in a second. But overall, it's been very fun rookie class to watch.
Yes, I agree. All right.
Ooh, my best. Sorry, my best has got to be the best team in the National Football League, the Kansas City Chiefs. We are back, baby. We had a little bit of hiatus, right? Where maybe it was the Dolphins, it was the 49ers, maybe it was the Eagles, and then the Kansas City Chiefs back on top, completely dominating and dismantling division rival Los Angeles Chargers, winning 31-17. Check this out. This team of the Kansas City Chiefs are the first team to be top 5 in all 3 phases as of week 7 since the 1999 Rams. Number 4 in offense, number 5 in defense, and number 2 in special teams. This has never happened since 1999 when the Rams won the Super Bowl. Listen, this has been a phenomenal year so far for the defense, right? We've been waiting for the offense to kind of figure it out and get it together right after that piss poor performance against the Broncos on Thursday night. They come back and those problems are gone. 3 touchdowns in the first half, right? Over 300 yards from Mahomes. Struggled a little bit there in the second half and the third quarter after some adjustments, and then, found the end zone again in the fourth quarter. But we moved the ball up and down the field. 400 yards or 4 touchdowns. Travis Kelce almost had 200 yards. They were just unstoppable. You could not stop the Kansas City Chiefs offense on Sunday. And then their defense, right? At first, right, we thought it was kind of back and forth. Once the Chiefs would score, the Chargers would score. The Chiefs would score, the Chargers would score. And I thought, oh great, our defense is gone. Like we used up all of the luck, the first 6 weeks, and here we go. This is going to be a typical Chargers and Chiefs game, right? We're just going to get down to the wire. Go into the lead, right, up 24-17, and they don't allow a single point in the second half, right? Starts off with interception, punt, interception to lead the game. They did not give an opportunity at all for the Chargers to get back in the game, completely shut them down. They're just playing at the most elite level, the only defense in the league to not give up 21 points yet in the season. I know they're only top 5. I know they don't have all the shock and all of like the Browns or the Cowboys or things like that, but I think it's we have to start having this conversation to where the Chiefs are actually the best defense in football.
But I'd be open to it. I don't know if I'd agree with it, but I'd be open to it.
I mean, like I said, I'm not coming out there and saying they are, but I think they definitely have to be in the card, which is never a single, it's not a phrase or a question I thought I would ever offer or ever ask in my entire life. Like, especially the past, 6 years, all of the Mahomes era, right? The defense has clearly been the weakest link.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so far this week, right, this season, they've been carrying us, waiting for the offense to figure it out. And it looks like the offense has finally figured it out, right? We thought maybe it was against the Bears that they finally figured it out, and then they regressed. We do this again. So we play the Broncos again. So if we don't show up against the Broncos like we did last week and we play the game, I'll be very disappointed. But after last week, I came back and said that was the most frustrating I've ever been watching a Chiefs game, even though we were winning. This was one of the best weeks of games of my life watching that, because that was fantastic. That was just all over the place, could not be stopped. So let's talk about the Chargers, though, since you're on this game, Chase. So that was my best of Chiefs. The Chargers, though, what is going on with the Chargers? Because that game, they couldn't do anything in the second half. Like, at what point is it really all Brandon Staley? Is Justin Herbert not getting enough of the blame? Like, they thought it was an offensive coordinator last year. They shipped him off. They brought in the new offensive coordinator. They're still losing. Justin Herbert's still a quarterback, right? He still has Keenan Allen, still has Austin Eckler. I know Mike Williams is out, but he's still got pieces right on offense. The defense is trash. I mean, it's the highest paid defense in the league, but they're not doing anything. They only sacked Mahomes once, right? It's not there. They can't defend worth crap. That secondary is terrible. The coach, right? We always have these questions about the coach. What do the Chargers need to do to fix it?
Yeah, that's the question that everyone will be asking this offseason. And the thing is they can't, right? They can't fix it without tearing it down. And I don't know if you're willing to risk Herbert's, prime per se, tearing it down and rebuilding it, right? The hard part is they figured everything out. They needed a quarterback. They found their quarterback and everything fell apart. That's where they're at right now, right? They've got to get Derwin James is a stud. Joey Bosa is okay, I guess. He's not, I wouldn't say he's an average player, but he's not one of those tier 1 pass rushers that he should be, right? Herbert has figured it out. He is a stud week in and week out, whether they win or lose. And then everything around them is just constantly, it's kind of like the Vikings, right? One player can play really good for a couple weeks and then just dip down where we've never seen him again, right? Keenan Allen had a 3-week toll where he might have been the best receiver in football. And then after those 3 weeks, it's like, no, this is Keenan Allen. We know who Keenan Allen is, right? None of their cornerbacks can do anything, right? They signed J.C. Jackson. They ended up cutting him. Khalil Mack showed up for one game where he had 6 sacks and then just went back to the whatever pit he's been hiding in. Like, this is just pitiful for the Chargers. And the hard part is there's no easy way to do this, right? There's no next step that they have to take, right? They are trapped, and they're trapped. At least they have some highlight where they're trapped with an elite quarterback.
Is he elite though with the career now losing record? He's just been a 500 quarterback his entire career. 500 quarterback. At what point? Listen, I love Justin Herbert. I'm not saying that this is all on him, but I got to ask the question: like, at what point does the quarterback start taking some blame? Because it feels like Justin Herbert has gotten off scot free this entire time. It's always been somebody else. It's always been somebody else. It's always been somebody else. But at some point, right, you don't score at all in the second half. You are the quarterback. If you're an elite guy, like, you have to put up points. You put up 17 in the first half. Why could you put up at least 17 in the second half? Like, at what point, another game losing interception, right? So at what point do we start to say, some of this is on Justin Herbert?
See, at that, I guess you could look at it that way. I do not look at QB wins as a way to say, because Jimmy Garoppolo is not an elite quarterback. He's a winning quarterback though, right? He's got a winning record against teams. He's not an elite quarterback. Sometimes good quarterbacks lose, like Dan Marino. He was not a winning quarterback for a lot of his career. Drew Brees was not a winning quarterback for a lot of his career, right? Sometimes teams are just bad and you're stuck there, right? I don't want to say, now, don't get me wrong, Justin Herbert is not scot-free, right? He did throw the interception on the game winning, right? Same thing we said with Brock Purdy, right? He is the quarterback. He's got to do better than 17 points. Again, this is a top 5 defense, right? 17 points with what he had, right? I'm glad they didn't pay Austin Eckler because that guy is a bum. I've been saying it for years. Fantasy relevant, football not relevant. But other than that, he doesn't really, right? They draft bad players. They just draft players that can't hit their full potential. Mike Williams is out for like the 9th season in a row, right? Once he's doing the best with what he has. Sometimes his best isn't enough. Sometimes it is on him. Quarterbacks have bad games. But I would hate to say that Justin Herbert's not elite because he can't beat the Kansas City Pat Mahomes-led Chiefs.
At some point, you're going to have to. You want to get one of them shiny things that goes on your finger, you're going to have to. But anyway, yeah. But great game. Chiefs are the best, or my best here for this week, as they're top 5 and everything, which is phenomenal. Let's go ahead and move on to the worst. Chase, hit me with your worst of the week.
Yeah, and for time's sake and just for not to beat a dead horse, my worst is the same thing we've already talked about, the Green Bay Packers, right? Coming off a bye week, losing to the Broncos, embarrassing. Like, don't go anywhere near that. That is, and I've seen a lot of bad losses by the Green Bay Packers. That is up there. Coming in a game that we 100% should have won, 100% prepared for, right? And somehow Green Bay is the only team that I know that can go into bye week and put more players on the questionable list. Like this, it's got to stop. We've got to start winning games, right? It's a rebuilding year. I got to readjust my mindset, right? I had that adjusted. We kind of got hot early, right? Playing the Bears, playing a good game against the Falcons, come back against the Saints. I thought, oh, maybe this isn't a rebuild. Maybe it's a retool. Nope. It is full rebuild. We got to remember that. But this loss is the worst in the Packers record right now by far.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you come out of the bye week and you're still flat. It's always interesting because you always wonder, what you always want to know, kind of where you want your bye at and things like that. Like for me and the Chiefs, because Andy Reid is so good coming off a bye, I always want the bye to be right before the week we play the hardest team on our schedule. Right, give us the extra week to prepare, to scheme, and everything like that. To do that. So that's what I look for. So, and obviously, you think at this point, with how the Broncos season is, and you're the Packers, you're thinking man, I want to come off the bye. This is going to be a get right game. We've had plenty of time to practice, prepare, and scheme, get healthy, and just they didn't do that. And honestly, it's like they literally just went on vacation. Used their bye week as a legit vacation and not as a semi vacation. Semi work. But just a legit vacation. They went full on New York Giants on a boat vacation, and they just showed up flat against a terrible team in the Broncos. And it's just one of those things where it's inexcusable. I like what you said. I think that falls 90% on the coach, on the coaching staff. As players and as captains, you kind of have some accountability. But as far as the coaching goes, the leader of the team, it's your job to get them rested. It's your job to get them prepared, to get them focused, and they just weren't at all. No. And so the coaching staff is taking a big hit for that one, and it's probably going to take the brunt of the hits all season. There's a lot of questionable play calling, a lot of questionable decisions, and as the head coach, you got to eat it.
Yes, I agree.
All right, my worst, I hate to say this, is the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
Man, when I saw that game, when I saw that they weren't favored, right? The Ravens were favored by 3 points based on how both of them have been playing. I thought, this is ridiculous. Okay, Ravens are the home team. You kind of want to give them a 3-point advantage. Okay, I guess I get it. But the way the Lions have been playing, I was shocked when I saw this game. I was looking forward to this game all week. Because I don't like the Ravens. And I thought, oh man, I'm going to watch the Lions go in there. They're going to ball out against the Ravens. It's going to be great. And from snap one, at the sound of the starting whistle, the Ravens dominated that game from start to finish, and the Lions did not have a chance. It was the most pathetic showing of a professional team that I've seen in a long time. Because one, this was the old Lions, Chase. This is the old Lions.
Yes.
The Lions of the Lions of Lions past, right? Where you show up and get skunked against a good team and leave, right? This is not the Lions we've seen so far play this season, whose only loss at that point came in a one position game in overtime, right? They were in that game all the way. This game, they were not in it at all. Now I get it. I get it. You're allowed to be a good team and have a bad game. Not that bad. Not that bad. There is no excuse at all for that, especially when they're coming off of, some big wins. And, Jared Goff was like, I think we can beat anybody right now. Like, I just don't know if they just got too cocky, whatever it was, but they just did not show up to play at all. They let on offense and defense, right? On defense, they let the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, they let them do whatever they wanted to. They could not stop on offense. They could not do anything. Like, finally, they kind of started going in garbage time when it didn't count. But there for the first half, especially, like, they had I think 2 first downs, like entire first half, when the Ravens had 20. Like, that was just the worst game of football played by any team this week. No team played worse football than the Lions this week, and it's just tough whenever there's these expectations that are being put on them. Obviously, it's not a season deal. Still be fine. This is what I technically call a good loss because it's a non-conference loss. So when it comes to standings, it doesn't hurt you as bad. But man, that was just a very, very poor performance for the Lions, and it was just very disappointing to watch.
Yeah, no, I had picked them as my upset. You did too. You pivoted off them because we had the same upset, right? We both thought this was the game. I just praised the Lions just a couple weeks ago. Thought they were actually for real. They were looking good. And I think, again, this is just in my head, but I think this is what happens when you hire a raw coach, right? That's all talk, and you give him, the Lions weren't prepared to play the Lions, or the Lions weren't prepared to play the Ravens. They were physically outmatched. The Ravens came in there and smacked them around, and I think that's because their coach is 90% talk, right? That's just me. I've said it already. I do not believe Dan Campbell. I believe coaches take more of the brunt when the players go out there and perform like that. I think that's just the players have been playing good all season. They've got up for it. This game, they were not up for it. They looked unprepared and just sloppy football. I think that goes on more the coaches and the players. Some players might, come out and say that that's not true. I don't know. That's just how I view it. But yeah, very, very poor performance by the Lions.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah, there's not anything else to say. Like, that was just the worst football I've ever seen played, I think, in my life. It was so it was like the Lions couldn't beat a single team in the NFL last week. Like, you put up any team, you put them up against the Broncos, you put them up against the Patriots, the Bears, whoever you want to call it. Like, I don't care who they're playing. Like, that week, they just did not show up at all, and they would have lost against anybody. So they're definitely my worst for the week. So we'll see how they turn it around moving forward. After that tough loss, maybe it was something that they really needed, because they haven't really had that yet. Yes, they lost in overtime to the Seahawks, but it wasn't like that, right? They could at least held their head high and say, "Oh, listen, we took them to overtime. Like, we probably should have won. There was that no call, whatever." So we're there. They're like, okay, we're still feeling good. Like, this is just a bulldozer. It just ran over you once, backed up, and ran over you once.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see how they respond. Great teams can respond to losses like this and come out and be better for it. We'll see if that's the case here with these Detroit Lions. But so far, their division isn't looking hot anyway, so they can afford these losses and still probably be okay. But they're gonna have a good get right game against the Raiders coming up that we'll talk about. So I'm not too concerned about it, but it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Yeah, no, I agree.